Hi, scholars. So we've been reading the story, Feathers Not Just for Flying. And there was something special about the way the author wrote this book. It included something we talked about yesterday. So for example, it said feathers can warm like a blanket. So yesterday we talked about how the author is comparing feathers to things that we know. And who remembers what was that special word that we had to use in our comparing? So again, feathers can warm like a blanket. Right, our word like. And when we're comparing two different things using the word like, we call that similes. So I want to review again some of the similes that our author used in Feathers Not Just for Flying. So yesterday we made this chart and it had feathers can. And we had our similes for the one side and our pictures to match on the other. So one thing was that it was comparing saying feathers can warm like a blanket. And why again did the author use the blanket to compare it to feathers? Right, when you think about a blanket, it keeps you warm, and the feathers keep the birds warm. Then we said that the feathers cushion like a pillow. So what was going on with this simile? Right, we had the bird use the feathers to help with the nest, to make it like a cushion. Then it says that they soak up water like a sponge. Because what happens with a sponge? Right, it gets all that water in it. Just like the feathers, they can trap all that water in for the birds. Our next simile was clean up messes like a scrub brush. So what do they use the brush to do? What does it say the brush is being used for? Right, to clean up things. So just like that, the birds use their feathers to clean themselves off. Great job. Our next one says distract attackers like a bullfighter's cape. So what do the feathers do for this part? Right, if it has something, a predator coming towards it, it can use its feathers to help the predator get away or distract them. Our next simile was hide a bird from predators like camouflage clothing. So first we have to know again what camouflage means. What does it mean if something is camouflaged? Right, it's blending in. You can't see it. So birds have feathers that blend in with the trees. So that way the predators can't see them. Okay, we have a couple more. So we have it, feathers can make a high-pitched sound like a whistle. So when you think of a whistle, how does it sound? Right, it does sound pretty high. Sometimes it hurts my ears. So some birds are able to use their feathers to make that high sound. Okay, we have three more. Another simile was attract attention like fancy jewelry. So what bird did we talk about that tries to attract? Right, a peacock. A peacock has these gorgeous feathers to use to attract others. And just like that, the jewelry, if you see someone with fancy jewelry, normally your eyes look at it, you're drawn to it. So feathers can do the same thing. We have two more. Feathers can also dig holes like a backhoe. So this is used to dig up. Mostly they use it to dig up like the dirt or the ground. So some birds are able to use their feathers just like that to kind of dig in. And we have one more simile we talked about. It said that feathers can carry building supplies like a forklift. So here's our forklift. So a forklift does what? Right, it can lift things up. So what does it mean that the birds can do with their feathers? Right, they can also lift things up. So again, when we're talking about similes, we're comparing two things to each other and using that, what's that special word? Right, the word like. So when you see that they're comparing two things to each other and they have that word like, we call that a simile. Great work.